Hello and welcome to the Physiology of Endurance Running Road to Valencia training block recap episode. I'm joined as always by Dan and Jen. How are you both doing?
Dan, you go first.
I'm good. I'm back to it. I'm ready for my next marathon. Getting stuck in already.
You reckon you're still in that 209 shape even after a
No,
down week?
no, I'm not. I've lost a little bit, but it'll come back quickly. I'm confident. I'm confident. How are you doing, Jen? First marathon. What's
Um,
what's the experience been?
you know what? It's been a bit rough, Like the last week was awful. Couldn't walk down the stairs. This week, like I'm back running. I actually feel all right running. I feel like I'm moving okay. Absolutely no pop in the legs. And my heart rate's through the roof. So I've stopped looking at that for now. Just going off pure vibes this week, I think. Just get back into the swing of things. Probably pushing the envelope a little bit too much on what Dave really wants me to do, but it's just jogging. So I feel like we've come to a fair compromise.
The double in time from Sunday to Monday was good.
Yeah, he did. He did. We went to see Johnny yesterday for physio as well, and that's the first thing he said when we walked in. So I did get get firm talking to. How about
Owain,
you,
how are you doing?
Owen?
Back running now?
Yeah, I'm back running. I had a bit of man flu, and yeah, and then I did the Christmas pudding race on Sunday, which was a dumb idea. Um, yeah,
With your
shouldn't.
mum though. With your mum,
No,
right?
there's a whole story behind that, but I ended up running most of it on my own.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so and I was just running on my own, and it's some of it's fairly technical, like as in like you're going through a river and there's like rocks and stuff. And I was just like, what am I doing here? Like, I wanted maybe 25 minutes running along the TAF with like no one else about, and instead I'm in this race with 500 people.
Do you go up the
Um,
Big Dipper?
yeah, the race starts up the Big Dipper, which is that the biggest sand dune in Europe? I think it's pretty massive.
Certainly in the UK, isn't it? It's where Steve Yvette used to get taken out to go training, running up those dunes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, there
iconic.
should be a plaque, I think, for him.
Yeah. But just getting to the
Yes,
top of that at any pace is just kills your quads.
my heart rate
Even
was 164 walking up there at the start, just because I
oh,
was like, I'm not running up this. There's a prize for like the first person up, and apparently the guy that got up there first then immediately threw up.
I love
Um,
that. Was that before the mulled wine and the mince pies?
yeah, before those stops. I don't know if he took them after that, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm fine now. Like I'm feeling okay actually today. Yeah, but yeah, feels a long way from those like heady weeks of 150k and just chewing up the mileage at the moment. I got to the point where I really missed running at the end of last week, and I was like, oh, I just want to be back doing what I was doing for 12 weeks, I think.
That's the
Yeah, it's
sign
like
that you're ready to start back again, I think. So I guess like the theme for this episode, Ben, is just gonna dig into what we did in the like 12 or so weeks before Valencia and see if that can explain like the outcome, but also what we thought went well and what maybe didn't work so well and what we're going to change for next time, assuming Jen's going to do another marathon. We think she is. We think she's
oh yeah,
keen.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
signed
Well, she's a
up.
marathon girl
I
now.
think I'm
Marathon
signed
girl.
up.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that'll be interesting for you guys. But I think it's so easy just to move on to the next race and not actually think about what you did. And I always try and just write some notes down about like race day, but also just the block in general, and just look at that before I start the next one and try and take some learnings from it, because it's so easy, like I said, just to move on and go and probably do pretty much the same thing again when maybe there are bits in there you could tweak. But before we get to that, let's give a shout out to Soar. So we've got the competition winner from our competition we had with Soar. Who is the winner, Owain? Do you want to announce it?
Yeah, it was Alan Highland. So yeah, thank you, Alan, for the support, and yeah, congrats. Enjoy the £250. That's a pretty good Christmas present, isn't it?
I'd be buzzing with that.
I'd be
That's
buzzing
class.
too.
Yeah.
I'd be buzzing. So lots of you entered. So thank you for entering, because that really shows your support for us and shows Soar that people are listening to us as well. So it helps us in that regard too. But yeah, loads of entries. So thanks for everyone who entered. If you want some more Soar prize money, you've still got a chance to complete the Soar Winter Solstice Challenge. So that is their 21 hours by the 21st of December challenge. I'm on track. I think I can do it. I need to do 7 hours in 5 days to get the 21 hours. If you're in the same boat as me and you think you're in with a shot, then all you need to do is, once you've completed the 21 hours in 21 days, take a screenshot of Strava, Garmin, Coros, whatever you're using, and email it to the link provided on the Soar website. So we can link that in the show notes. But basically, just 21 hours by the 21st of December. You do that and you'll get £60 in Soar credit. So that goes quite a long way, to be fair, especially a nice way to dip your toe into Soar if you haven't felt you could splash out previously. So that would get you, I had a really nice Soar hat that would buy you, which I didn't wear in Valencia. I've decided it was too hot for a hat. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for days around Valencia. It was nice. It was so nice, wasn't it, in the evenings? 18 degrees, 17 degrees, sit outside, have a beer afterwards and not be freezing.
I miss those days.
You were out there you can't complain, Jen. You had an extra bonus week out in Mallorca. So
got back in yesterday morning, the whole run, absolute pissing rain. I was like, I am home. This is awful.
Yeah, that was Monday morning, right? And I woke up and I was just like, why is this weather happening? Because that was going to be my first. I woke up thinking like, okay, like can go back on the tap, like this would be really nice, and then woke up and it's just like weather warning, like hammering it down. Ended up on the treadmill.
It was gross. I can confirm, like horrible. Didn't want to go out again that day.
It's great South Wales, isn't it? It's great. Just love it.
Take me back to Valencia.
I could live in Valencia. I could live anywhere in the south of Spain. I could move there. Definitely. So who's going to go first? Who wants to take the lead?
I'm happy to go first.
Yeah.
You
show us how it's done then.
Yeah. I don't know. I might end up coming back when I hear what you guys talk about. So I guess we mentioned before we recorded, like Jen maybe doesn't have anything to compare to, but I've looked at comparing what I did to before Valencia to against Barry 40. But yeah, I guess I don't know. We'll go over just the headline stuff.
I guess for previous people who may not have listened to Barry 40, Owain was a moron and did a 40-mile race around the track in the spring, which was the Welsh Ultra Championships, and it's also a really historic event, and it's been going for like 25 years, something like that, 30 years. It's a long
40,
time.
I think.
40 years.
Yeah, 40.
40 years for the Barry 40.
40 years for Barry 40. And we covered that. We did a Road 2 series for that, but you were taking that pretty seriously though, right? So it was a good thing to compare to in terms of your last big event that you've properly prepared for.
Yeah. I was taking it seriously, although I guess like you mentioned at the start, like reflecting on races and not just jumping into the next one, but then even like you do the next race and then you reflect on the previous ones and think like, okay, what have I done different this time that maybe I would have done that time? And that's definitely been something I've thought about. Like I mean, not that it's a major announcement, but I definitely won't be doing Barry this spring. Like the idea of doing that again because I think it's like 8-9 weeks away, so it's way too soon. But yeah, no, just thinking like, okay, if I was doing it again, knowing what I know after Valencia, what would I do different? And I think there's quite a lot. But I guess we'll just go through the Valencia numbers to start with. So this is going back to September the 8th from race day, so the first week of this series. So I guess training weeks, I average 9 hours 40 each week, and that is including the taper. And it also includes like quite a big down week when I did Stroud half, about halfway through. That was only like 6 hours, I think, that week. So I think taking those out, it's probably well over 10 hours a week average. And there was 1 week where I was ill, so I missed sort of effectively like 3 runs, I think, that week. So that brought the average down a bit, but so average 9 hours 40, 126k for the average, again with the taper. I took the taper out, just playing around on training peaks and intervals, and without the taper is 132k a week average. Again, that's still with the down week for Stroud. So yeah, probably high 130s, I think. Yeah, and then I'll put these numbers on like social media, I guess, but like the time in zones ended up being 75 hours in zone one. When you see these numbers, you're like, well, that's a lot of time running.
There's a lot of times that you talk about days, like continuous
Yeah.
days of running, aren't
Yeah.
you? Like before you go any further, how
yeah.
you let's say how you're calculating the zones in terms of what zones you're using and how have you calculated them?
So calculation is from lab testing. There is maybe a little bit of refinement on where zone one, or where LT1 sits. Partly based off of Barry 40, because I can see, and I had really good heart rate data the whole way through that. So I know what heart rate average I held for 4.5 hours, which is probably a good indication of roughly where like LT1 might be. Maybe it's a beat or two below that with some drift at the end. But yeah, I guess in the same way that you can do like a maximal lactate steady state test and figure out your LT2 heart rate, I've sort of gone and done a field test for LT1 there, which probably no one's ever going to do. So it's never going to be validated. Like, good luck recruiting for that study to validate a field measurement of LT1.
4.5 hour time trial.
Yeah, even paced as well. Yeah, so that's where LT1's from, and then LT2 is from lab testing. And then the way I divide zones up is zone 1 and 2 are below LT2, and it's basically the halfway point is where I divide zone 1 and 2. But it's sort of intuition as well. Like I sort of know, I put it at like 144 beats per minute. I know if I'm below that, it's a really easy run. Like it's just feel. Like I can just feel it as a really easy run. And then above that, it feels like I'm starting to push a bit if I'm fit and healthy and feeling good. And then zone 3 and 4 sit between LT1 and LT2 for me. I think there's more use in having a couple of zones there. I know some models will only have one zone between LT1 and LT2. But I think there's a difference between like a couple of beats above LT1 and a couple of beats below LT2. I think there's quite a practical difference in terms of training and then just how it feels when you're running. So I divide those two up as well. And then zone 5, 6, 7 are above LT2. So yeah, 75 hours in zone 1, basically 29 hours 45 in zone 2. So that's going to be 105 hours total below LT1. And then 9.5 hours zone 3, 11 hours 20 in zone 4. And then basically an hour above LT2. That's all I did for the whole training block. Which maybe a lot of that is actually like Stroud half. That's going to be a chunk of it. I'm trying to think if I did any other races. It's probably just where I pushed sessions slightly too hard. Yeah, so basically everything is below LT2. In terms of breaking it down as well into like a 3-zone model, it's 82% below LT1, 16.5 below LT2, and then 0.8% above. Yeah, so I guess really taking it to the extreme of like the amount of time I've spent in each zone. Yeah, and then I guess I looked at like longest run as well, which was all the way back in September actually.
So, which one was that?
That was where we did the 80. Well, we did the 6 by 10 minutes. I think you maybe did 70 minutes easy, and then me and Dave did an extra 15.
Oh, the one where you thought you were doing 70, but you weren't.
Yeah. So it wasn't planned. But yeah, that was 35.5K. That was where we finished and literally just walked straight across the field.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. No, I didn't go above that. There's a lot of weeks where it's 32, 33K, but nothing above 35.5. And I was actually bang on 2.5 hours, that one. Yeah, which probably speaks to Dave's sessions planning. Yeah. So I guess those are the numbers. Yeah, I'll put them on socials as well because I think it's easier than me talking through. Trying to think what else. I missed one. Oh, You're muted, Dan. He's
muted.
Dan's muted himself.
I guess to summarize then, now I've unmuted myself, lots and lots of easy, and then some threshold stuff and basically nothing else.
Yeah.
How does that compare to Barry?
Yeah, so it's using exactly the same zones. So it's going to be, I'm going to put it on socials. So on our podcast Insta, there'll be a picture. Before Barry, the 12 weeks before Barry, so the exact same amount of days, I did 23 hours in zone 1 and 71 hours in zone 2, which is still below LT1, but there's a complete difference in terms of the like distribution of where that sits. And then I basically did 10 hours between LT1 and LT2, so I did half the amount of time. And then I actually did an extra 30 minutes, but I think above LT2, but I think that was just, I did a couple of cross-country races, so that's probably almost entirely cross-country races. And I think I maybe did a fell race as well, so it'll be those 3 races. But yeah, so I basically doubled the amount of time I spent between LT1 and LT2, and then also quite dramatically slowed down, or at least reduced the intensity of the easy runs. I think the pace probably ended up not being too much different by the end of it. But yeah, so there's quite a big difference. It's quite interesting seeing them next to each other. I sort of knew that was the case, and like that was one of my reflections after the 100K when we did. I can't remember what episode we did, but I recapped the training block and I said I'm probably running my easy runs a bit too fast. They're still below LT1, but they're too fast, I think.
Because you were doing loads of your easy days at like 4:15, 4:20 a K, weren't you?
Yeah.
Which is pretty fast considering in a race, a marathon at, about time, you'd have been racing a marathon probably in like 3:45 a K, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So yeah, it's pushing it a bit. I guess I always justified it as it's below LT1.
Yeah.
But it's a complete change. And then in terms of time, I did average an hour less during the Barry block, but I didn't really have any down weeks, so it's probably more like an hour and a half, like difference between them as well. So I guess quite interesting in terms of how the training changed. I think it makes sense. I think you'd look at those Barry numbers and be like, yeah, slow down your easy runs, do a bit more intensity. I guess at least that's
and also that is it's a little bit because the event you were training for is a longer event, isn't it? And you probably maybe you don't need so much intensity in there. Could be the rationale behind that. But at the same time, I think that when people talk about, I think junk mileage for me is when they're doing those easy runs too hard and they're still comfortable, but they're closer to LT1 where you are going to get more fatigue, more stress, but you don't actually get that much physiological benefit from it compared to just jogging it 20 seconds a K slower. And that just allows you to do more stuff in zone 3.
And allows you to absorb it as well, rather than going out doing it, but actually not getting anything from it.
Yeah. And I've said this before, like my LT1 is consistently like 320 a K. If I went out and ran 345 a K, 330 a K, yeah, my lactate would be great, but I'd be fucked. My legs, like muscle damage, glycogen depletion, all of this sort of stuff. It's just not gonna help. And I used to run with you quite a bit at that point when you were doing your long runs into Barry, and they weren't, we were running 420 a K, but I could tell that you were working.
Yeah, I guess also I wasn't really doing sessions in the long runs then, so it was just one big session a week, and then just sort of steady easy running, which I guess like reflecting again, it probably wasn't terrible, but it could have been optimized a bit more, I think is the learning. So I don't know, that's the Barry training. I guess like just then thinking about the Valencia training. I think the training was good. Like I did really like doing the like when we moved to one session a week and then the long run sessions, like I definitely really, really liked the long run sessions. And maybe something that I was a bit nervous about was just doing them and just overcooking them. But I think in hindsight they're good as long as you have some control. So like running the easy part of the run easy is important, and then control over the reps as well. Which going by heart rate helps, because like I would check in enough to know that I wasn't pushing too hard, and then also how you're feeling as well during each session. Like there wasn't really any sessions where the alarms were going off for me, at least.
Finishing on hands and knees sort of thing.
100%. Like that never really happened. I think the only one of the block I can think of, like not mine, was like Jen, the week I wasn't about, where you didn't have a great one.
Oh, that was horrendous. Yeah, that was horrendous.
Like,
that's
so
maybe
you weren't there. maybe having that down week was beneficial into the race. Yeah, so I don't think any of them went bad, but I would still be like really cautious, and like I'm cautious when I set them for the guys I'm coaching, and I'm like quite do leave like notes being like, don't run this that hard sort of thing, or like slow down the easy section, because it's just so easy to dig a huge hole, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's definitely one of my takeaways. I think is that the only time I was hands on knees at the end of a session was when you guys dropped me, because I was ill, had in a massive weekend and just in a bad place. And that was running like 3:45s a K or whatever. Like maybe when I was 3:30s, I don't know. I was in a bad place.
At the end, it was probably 3:30s.
Yeah, I'd say it was 3:30s. Might have been 3-minute Ks actually. I think 3-minute Ks. But I always say, like, I prefer someone just to cut the session short than work so hard to get through it that they're just going to be broken afterwards, and it's going to take them a week to recover. That is the danger of the big sessions. So I think they're great, but it's so easy to push it too hard. And I think having heart rate as a cap for that is a great way of controlling it. But at a basic level, just don't go harder than an 8 out of 10 is plenty hard enough. Don't make it a 9, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and it's also respecting the recovery afterwards. Like you shifted your session to the Thursday after, so you gave yourself that recovery too, to actually absorb the training as well.
Yeah. I was going to say, shifting the session, and then I think also just the time limit I had on the sessions during the week probably helped as well, because like some of those I would have loved to have done an extra 10 minutes each week, but there just wasn't the time to do it. So like maybe that helped as well. Like how much would that extra 10 minutes each week have added versus how much it could have sort of had an impact on the weekend runs as well. I guess like reflections on other training. I think if I do, I mean, I've got a spot. I don't know if I'll do it yet, but if I do Valencia next year, like I definitely want to add some amount of S&C in. I think I just need to anyway. And I need to stop being like, oh, I can't do it because the next race is in 15 weeks. And I would just do it.
Definitely suggest you'd start doing that before you started a marathon block.
Yeah.
Like, don't do both at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at least, like, for me as well, like, I wouldn't be going to a gym to do it. I'd literally just get the smallest amount of equipment to just do it in the garage I've got. And it would just be like 20 to 30 minutes twice a week to start with. And like, then I know I'm not going to go too hard, but it's still going to be better than doing nothing. And just do that for like 3 or 4 months, and then maybe add an extra 10 minutes to it, sort of thing. Just also because I'd be like, I know I've spent time in the gym before, but I'd sort of be relearning to lift.
Which is sore for the first few weeks.
Yeah, and that's maybe another like trap runners fall into, right? Is like, oh, I just go in the gym sort of thing, but it's a real skill. Like, but essentially it derailed your London build, right, Dan? Like, just a slight maybe misstep in the gym. Like, it is a real skill that you need to do right if you're going to do it. So there's that as well, like not doing too much straight away.
100%. You can always, I think you can only start too aggressively, can't you? I think starting out with 20 minutes for someone who probably hasn't done anything for a very long time, that's going to be enough as a stimulus, and then you can, as you adapt to it quickly though. So you don't need to be in there for an hour to start with, because A, you'll go mad, and B, you'll just be sore, likely to hurt yourself.
Yeah. I don't want to be like in a gym faffing about as well. That's my idea of hell.
I just hate
You
gyms.
don't want to be in pure
gyms.
gym on a Monday night at 6 p.m. because it's great.
I'm good, thanks.
Wait until January; it'll be horrendous. Any slot will be horrendous.
I'll start S&C when Jen stops in January.
Yeah, I'm not going to the gym anymore. I hate it.
But yeah, that's definitely something I'll start. Maybe I'll hit up Rich Blagrove, see if he has any advice. Be like, I've finally listened to you 6 months later, Rich. That would be something I'd add. The other thing that like Rachel's going to be so annoyed when she hears this, but I definitely want to get one of those like sauna things that Jake Barclough got. There's like, I know that there's a gap in the garage next to the treadmill, so it's all on its own theme. One of those. I think his is like UV, right? I think it's a UV one. But yeah, some sort of like little heat stimulus thing in the garage. I think it definitely works, and I think it can only be beneficial. And again, like sort of each night, either do that for half an hour or gym, or like S&C for half an hour.
You don't have a bath, right? That's why you wouldn't get a sauna.
I don't have a bath, so that's why I would need to do that.
Bath man hasn't got a bath.
I know, yeah. And moved from a flat I was renting that had a bath to a bungalow that I own, and it doesn't have a bath. So
I'm surprised that wasn't like the final straw in terms of like not getting that property.
I know, yeah. I should have thought about it. It has a nice shower though, so I'll take that. And also it wasn't like I could bath in the flat because there wasn't actually enough hot water in the water tank to fill up the bath. So you had to use the kettle, which wasn't ideal. I think it's worth adding. Like not that I'm necessarily like picking out hot races to do, but I think it's again quite easy to add. So I would like to add some combination of that and S&C during the week. Because I think also maybe like 3 doubles is probably the maximum for me at the moment. I'd like to add more, but I think 3 most of the week felt good, and it never felt like I wanted to run much more. Maybe I could add a 4th double. It's starting to eat into time as well. Like there's only
that's
so many
one thing
hours.
I was going to ask you is that when you were training for Barry, you were basically a full-time athlete and that you were unemployed. And so you could train whenever you liked. Whereas this time you've had a full-time job, getting up very early in the morning to do your sessions and doing doubles. How have you found that? Because I imagine you sleep less now.
Yeah.
And you've certainly got less recovery time.
It's been mostly okay. There's definitely, like, I'll be honest, there's some friction in terms of like Rachel's a night owl and I'm a morning person. So most nights I'm like, can we go to bed? Rachel's like, no, like want to stay up longer. I can't sleep if she's not asleep. So I'm just like one of those people. The house has to be asleep for me to sleep. So there was maybe some friction, maybe 2 or 3 nights during the block. Normally the night before sessions. Where I'd just be like, I just want to go to bed. I don't think it's been too bad. There was definitely days where I was like, oh, I can't wait to sleep. Like just really tired. But I think it went better than I thought. Again, on reflection, I can't believe how little training I was doing for Barry, considering I was unemployed. There probably could have been like 4 or 5 hours extra a week at that point. Yeah.
Do you think having the structure though also helped like enable you to do the training like in the way you did as well? Like you had to do something on a certain time, you had this much time to do it, you had to execute it to this level and then tick the box, and you're not overthinking it all day.
Massively from the structure. Like even literally like yesterday, so like Monday morning and then today, Tuesday morning, where especially today, like I wasn't just needing to run before work, like I was just yeah, faffing about. And then yeah, like very very weird today that like I was done with my run at like 10 past 10, whereas like normally it'd be 10 past 7 sort of thing. um yeah, so I think that structure did help. Like yeah, maybe having 15-20 more minutes a day to train would be even more optimal, but I think for the most part it works. And yeah, like not overthinking stuff as well. Just yeah, this is where it fits in. I would say at the same time, like I probably got really lucky in terms of like nothing happened where I had to really drastically change things around. um even just like really bad weather, like on, there wasn't any Wednesdays or Thursdays where I was like, oh, the weather's so bad I can't do my session this morning, I'd need to do it this afternoon, or I'd need to do it another day. So probably got quite lucky in that regard. Yeah, or even like any Sundays. Like there wasn't any Sundays where we were like, oh, the weather's so bad. Like you and Dave could probably get away with doing your long run on a Monday, and that never really
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely some luck as well. But yeah, I think it definitely helps. Like I think, although I'd still like some more sleep.
Part time,
Yeah.
reduced hours.
Get those afternoon naps in.
I know. I'm not a napping person either, so I'm just
I hate napping. I just wake
Like,
up and feel like garbage. Like even when I was a newborn and didn't sleep at all, a nap was like the last resort, the last resort.
I'm a napper who ends up scrolling and never naps.
yeah. Yeah, I just always think there's something to do. Like I could just not nap and do that instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Ideal world, I'd just be in bed at 9 every night. That would be, yeah, ideal for me. But yeah, I guess, yeah, training block reflections. I guess I don't really feel like there was any big mistakes in terms of the training set. Like I probably could have done without falling off the treadmill and falling off my bike. Um, yeah, those weren't optimal for performance. But I think yeah, like there wasn't anything where like a day or a week or a month later I was like, oh, that was stupid. Um, in terms of like its effect on performance, like yeah, I didn't. I don't know how much it would have changed the race if I hadn't done Stroud and then it started a pen back. Um, like maybe a little bit, but I think that down week probably helped. And I think actually maybe thinking about why I didn't feel great like the first 10-15K of the race, like maybe the sort of like peak of the training block was maybe like a week or two too long. Um, and maybe that down week helped, where actually maybe the race would have gone worse if I just had 140K sort of for 8-9 weeks. Um, so yeah, and yeah, I think that's kind of interesting for me because I'm not really someone that some people are like 3 weeks on, 1 week down. I've never really felt like I needed that, but then yeah, maybe it's picking apart like the physiology and then the psychology, like those last couple of weeks where you do feel a bit sort of fed up and ready to race and doesn't quite feel as good. Like, is that all psychology, or is that actually like, yeah, maybe you slightly pushed it a bit too hard, or pushed the block a bit too long, and should have maybe done 1 or 2 weeks less. I guess you'll never know, but yeah, I have maybe thought that, but I don't think there was any big mistakes that I can think of. Yeah, and like I don't know how much I'd change, to be honest. Like I as much as anything, I really enjoyed it. So like I don't think I'd change much. Like if I hadn't enjoyed it, then I'd probably have 10 things I'd change. But um, yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed it all. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you guys think there's anything that should have been changed, but yeah,
Well, I think you had a really good block. I mean, you were so much fitter than Barry, weren't you?
yeah,
What would you
yeah.
what do you reckon you'd have run if you'd run a marathon instead of Barry 40 on that day?
Yeah, probably somewhere around like 240, 238, like sort of what my old PB was. Like I do think I was close to that shape, but then yeah, I think I was a lot fitter. Yeah, by December. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next? Next few months?
So I have put my name forward for the 100k again for Wales. So I think we find out about that in like early Jan. But that would be in mid-March. So I sort of will start training for that and then find out if I've made the team or not. I think I'll just have like a normal ramp back into training, and then I will have done like a week or two sort of normal training by that point anyway. So it's not the end of the world if I don't make it.
Yeah, but first, we're getting back into things. It's just the same, isn't it? Regardless of what you're training for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Showing up and getting it done.
Yeah, like I've sort of like penciled in like 31st of Jan as like maybe the first like session. I'll just do easy running until then.
You're an easy run until the 31st of Jan.
Yeah.
December, surely.
Oh, sorry, December. Yeah. December, not Jan.
I was going to say.
Yeah, not Jan.
Dan's looking shocked.
Like 6 weeks of just jogging. I mean,
Yeah.
I know you're the sort of guy who would go and do that, but
Yeah.
that's a bit extreme, isn't it?
No, sorry, 31st of December.
Finishing off the
Yeah.
year strong.
I think as much, like I was like, I'm not going to do anything on, like next week feels too early considering we're on like Tuesday and I've still only done like 40 minutes of running. I think I'm think like in contrast maybe to you, Dan, like I'm very much like get the easy running feeling okay and then session. Hopefully make the 100k team. If not, I don't know what I'll do. I'll find something else.
Newport.
No, it won't be a marathon. No, because everything would just be compared to Valencia, wouldn't it? And like imagine it's not quite going as well and you're in the middle of nowhere, like somewhere to the east of Newport, and I'll just be like, what's the point?
You're basically saying it's got to be Valencia or Valencia now. That's it. There's no other marathons.
I don't think quite that extreme, but I think like that quick for me, like mentally, that quicker turnaround. I think it needs to be like a better marathon to excite me.
I think that's when you need to go and chase like a technical one, like a harder. Because I think the first year I did Valencia, I was in the mindset of you, but I didn't want to go and do London, which is just everyone knows is slower than Valencia. So it's like, right, well, I'm going to go do Belfast because it's got a massive hill at 19 miles. It's just not fast, but I could go and like try and make the podium. And that was just a different challenge versus another time trial.
Yeah. I would want to find something fast that's not, I don't know, that's maybe more like interesting in the same way that I found like Barry 40 interesting. How
many laps of it? How many laps?
161.
161 laps. That was really interesting, wasn't it? Really interesting.
I think like interesting in
15 other competitors.
You want a lapped marathon course, is it?
I could do the marathon at Barry 40. I think just in terms of like, I don't know, like interesting in terms of it's a different distance sort of thing is what interests me. And like Barry, it was literally like, this is basically like LT1 for the entire race, like what happens sort of thing. It's quite, that was what interested me. But yeah, in terms of then later in the year, so I got a Valencia spot. I think you'd be mad not to, now it's a ballot, like, yeah. So I've got a Valencia spot. I don't know if I'll do it, but just seemed the smart move. I guess there's a lot of Brits going to Amsterdam, so I might jump on that train when those entries open. But yeah, I don't know what else. Like those are sort of the two in the autumn that stand out to me. I'd really love to do a Japanese marathon, but that would take a lot of planning. And find it. I don't know. Maybe I'll hit up Jake Barclough and ask what's a good one in autumn.
Fukuoka, right? Is that in the autumn? Fukuoka?
Yeah, that's the same day as Valencia, I think. I think isn't that one of the ones where you have to have run like 2:20 or something to get in as a bloke?
Oh, I don't know. It's just where people used to go to run fast, isn't it?
Yeah. Because some of them are like that mental. Like that was what Lake BY used to be as well, right? Used to be like, didn't they used to like close the like course at like sort of 16 minutes through 5k or something. Something mental, yeah. But no, like if there was a fast Japanese marathon, I I could probably just watch every week of Jake's YouTube since about September and just pick out the ones that he's done every weekend. That would be the aim, but that's obviously a big like financial and work commitment to do that. So that may stay a pipe dream. I might just do Amsterdam instead.
I would love to go to Japan and do a marathon. We'll get plotting. We'll get scheming.
Yeah. Cultural exchange with we'll go.
You can
help
get someone to come and do Newport in exchange to go over there.
We'll help Jake train smarter in Japan. Yeah. I want to try the natto as well that he has. The was it the fermented beans for breakfast? Those are really cool.
That doesn't look appealing. No, it looks like I don't know, glue. No, it's not selling it for me. But yeah.
So that's nice. The block. Yeah, like I said, I'll put something on socials because it's way easier to just look at the numbers rather than hear me.
Don't come across very well on a podcast, do they?
No. And yeah, I guess if you want to tell me something I did wrong, like slide into my DMs as well. I'm interested to hear.
Nice. Shall I go next? Because I feel like I've got a similar theme to you.
Go for it.
I've got all the threshold data and I've got something to directly compare it to. So, I mean, I'm going to start off with the caveat in that I still think I was in much better shape than what I executed on the day. And I'm more of a mind about now than I was last week because I was ill until like Friday. And you don't want to hear my symptoms. So I asked in our group chat, what were your symptoms? I had every symptom. Lots of visits to the toilet, feeling like shit, and just like runny nose, everything, and just generally didn't feel good. And the fact that it was just less than 24 hours after I finished the race just makes me think that the time course from infection to the symptoms, like the symptoms are a response to you already being infected. The virus has already got into your system and multiplied, and then you get the symptoms. So I'm just... everything was telling me, like the race data, the training data, my time at Cardiff Half, like the lab data, the training sessions I was doing, that I was in better shape, and then it didn't come together in a day. But so I'm gonna interpret the next like 12 weeks as in I had a good run, it just didn't come together. So let's start with the time and zone data. So yeah, similar to Owain, I've got heart rate zone data for the last 12 weeks into Valencia, 2024 versus 2025. I use a slightly different system in that zone 1 and zone 2 are below LT1, just like Owain, but then I've just got zone 3, which is from LT1 to LT2. And then I have zone 4 and zone 5, which are above LT2 and just split like halfway. So from LT2 up to max heart rate, basically. And similar themes, I guess, in that I did a lot of training, averaged 11 hours a week and 164K, which was quite pleasing. I didn't think I was going to be at that high, but because I had some down weeks in there as well. And that was including the taper. So 164K, vast majority easy. So 101 hours and 32 minutes in zone 1, which represented 77% of total training time. 13 hours, 10 minutes in zone 2, 10%. And then zone 3, 16 hours, 5 minutes, which was 12%. And then 56 minutes in zone 4, 1%. And 20 minutes in zone 5, less than 0%. Less than 0%, less than 1%. Let's get the actual figure, 0.3%. So pretty much the same as you, Owain, in that I was almost all my intensity was just threshold. And the 56 minutes would have come from, in zone 4, would have been a mix of Cardiff Half and Valencia Marathon. Same for the zone 5 stuff. Although, same for zone 5. I did kind of 10K as well. So that would have fallen in my window, I think.
Yeah. I reckon
maybe it didn't.
I was going to say on the zone 1, zone 2 like split as well. Like I think you're going to have a bigger polarization because zone 2 for you is like biomechanically a bigger stress than it is for me. Like for me, that's really down to like 4 minutes a K. Whereas for you, that's like, what, like 340, 330 a K?
Yeah, I mean, there's no physiological difference between zone 1 and zone 2. in like the model that I use and the model that most people use. So it's a bit arbitrary where you draw that line. I basically go 20 beats below LT1. So 100 for me, that's 135 to 155 is zone 2, and anything below 135 is zone 1. So that's reasonably narrow. So obviously you're going to spend less time there when zone 1 is basically my resting heart rate, 35 beats a minute up to 135 beats a minute. That's a massive window. So you probably are just going to artificially run more in that zone. But even my zone 2 stuff, most of that is coming in sessions, not easy running. Just most of my easy days are 120 beats per minute max average, maybe a little bit high if I'm getting a bit excited, but I'm purposely not trying to get to 135. But I guess the interesting stuff is comparing it to Valencia 2024, in which actually almost identical. And I'm looking at the percentages and they are identical. Like 77% zone 1, 100 hours, 44 minutes, 10% zone 2, 11% zone 3, 1% zone 4, 1% zone 5. So I had a bit more zone 5. I raced a bit more, I think, in 2024. But I averaged 10 hours a week less, but 10K a week less. So 10 hours, 50 minutes versus 11 hours, 2024 versus 2025, but then 154K in 2024 versus 164K in 2025. So actually I was looking at the average pace and it was 413 a K in 2024 for the whole like training block, and then 402 a K in 2025, which is interesting in that the heart rate seems to be very similar, but I'm running faster. So a bit like you, I guess. I was probably just a bit fitter, and also the subtleties of zones. Well, zones aren't subtle enough to really pick up those differences because, like I said, like zone 1 is like 35 beats to 135 beats, but I could have been doing more 120 versus 110, for example.
Definitely noticed you doing your easy runs maybe a little bit faster. Like that, I definitely feel like there was a couple of times a week you'd see like a low 4-minute K easy run from you where like before you maybe didn't. And even like the long runs, like, you know, we would go out and jog a long run, or like definitely jog for you, like maybe push for me. Whereas there was a lot more this year, it felt like, of like even on the non like specific session long runs, you'd be down like 4-minute K or faster.
Yeah. And I think I heart rate has actually been lower this time, I think, in terms of just eyeballing the numbers. I tend to be averaging lower heart rate. So I think that is just a mismatch between internal and external loading. I was just fitter this time round, and so I'm running faster for a lower heart rate, which is obviously a nice thing. But I was expecting to see more sizable differences. I mean, whereas I did do a bit more threshold work. So I averaged a little bit more zone 3 stuff across a block.
Did you do double threshold for your Valencia block in 2024?
No, not really.
So
it was more just big single sessions.
Yeah.
And I actually think it worked well. I would probably keep that. It just allowed me to
session or the double.
No, the doubles. Sorry, the doubles. Yeah, I think it allowed me to just not, because I was doing some of my like midweek threshold sessions with 75 minutes of work, and that is just a lot, and it breaks you down. And then it also means you can't run at those faster speeds because you're doing 75 minutes of work. Whereas breaking it up just meant I could run a bit faster in the evening.
You did a lot of those on the lab treadmill as well last year, like because I would come in to do my study and I'd hear the treadmill firing up at 6:20 in the morning on the lab treadmill, because that was the time you had, wasn't it, last year? So
exactly, I sort of got forced into using my treadmill more last time, and a lot because I was looking through my pace. I was also looking at like the pace zones that I've got, but they just don't work very well because I did so much on my treadmill last year versus this year, where much more of it's been outside. Just because when you're training early in the mornings in Cardiff, there's nowhere you can go to do outside stuff. Like Roth Lake is not a good option.
Head torch.
Yeah, and even with a head torch, again, it's just not ideal. And when you got a good treadmill there, it good environment to do it in. So yeah. So actually looking at a little bit more stuff in zone 3, like what was it? An average of 11 minutes more per week in zone 3, which is that meaningful? I don't know. Owen thinks it might be meaningful because he's a bit worried about adding 10 minutes to his week. But I guess it's still like an extra.
It adds up over time, though, if you think about that for the whole block.
Exactly. Well, I mean, 13 hours, 55 minutes in 2024, 16 hours, 5 minutes in 2025. So I think it does add up over time. But I think the real differences were, like you were saying, Jen, and just how that got made up in that I did more double threshold sessions, in which by that I was doing them pretty much once a week, which I liked. I think that worked well. But also I was doing more marathon specific sessions, whereas like last year I was doing one like every 10 days. So every like third session would be like a more marathon specific one where I'm either doing a hard long run, like 40k at a pretty good pace or 30k at a pretty good pace, or I was doing 2k on, 1k off, or 4k on, 1k off, something like that. Whereas this time round, every week I was doing that, minus weeks where I was ill or tapering in for a race. And I think that is what drove the difference. I also think that's probably why I've ended up with a faster average pace, because those sessions just end up running a long way very quick and easily just pull down your average pace for the week, or pull up your average pace for a week, depending on which way you're framing it. And I think last year I didn't have the lifestyle to support that in terms of everything else going on. I was in the position of you, Owain, where I was up early most days with a 2-year-old Ben who really didn't sleep, and now I've got a 3-year-old who sleeps mostly. And so I felt like I couldn't tolerate. I felt like I was actually tolerating the block better this time, despite sessions being bigger and more aggressive. I guess the double threshold probably helped bring that load down a little bit. But overall, I felt like the training load, as in the stress on my body, was probably higher. But I could cope with that better because I was very lucky in that I could train at 9 o'clock most mornings. I think there's other things that were different were like taking recurrence. Like we talked about it with Dr. Sam Shepherd, and that was about like the glycogen sparing, and we talked about it on the podcast, and that seemed to we hypothesized would be more useful during a training block. And I think for me, because you've said that you couldn't feel the difference. I feel like I could feel the difference, and I have got those different lifestyle factors in me now. I've got a job that allows me to train more in my day and have more sleep, but at the same time I was just recovering from these big sessions really well and going into them, and I just didn't have a single bad session. In that I think I was more glycogen loaded going into them, and I guess another thing I've changed is trying to be more to carb load before the big sessions more, but maybe combined with the currents, that helped. The evidence is pretty good from what James was saying on recovery and also this pre-exercise muscle glycogen. So that's something that I've done differently and seemed to work well.
Yeah, I guess I'd say with that, like I'm comparing, like we just said, I'm comparing it to when I wasn't working and was running a bit less, and then I've run, realistically like an hour and a half a week more, and around a full-time job. So probably actually did make a difference. I just have no comparison. Whereas like we maybe should have said like you're comparing to last year, but then this time last year we compared to the year before as well with Valencia. So you've got 3 years worth of Valencia data to compare against, which is like pretty unique. There's not many people with that data set.
Yeah, I didn't pull up the 2023 as well. I could have. I got that on an Excel file somewhere, but I think that was a bit sort of similar theme in that the amount of the polarization of the training was similar, but I just did a bit more. I did more easy running, didn't I? That was a key takeaway.
Yeah,
from
that was the conclusion at the end of the whole podcast series. Was you just ran more, like the entire year. You just ran more.
Yeah, and that's true here. I have just run more. Although there was a bit more threshold stuff, A little bit more easy days. Zone 2 is actually a bit less this time round than last year. But yeah, very similar. I was going to say something else, but it's gone now.
Yeah, sorry, I derailed you there. I guess, were you going to move on to sessions or?
Yeah, I think sessions. I set up. I did more marathon specific sessions, a lot more in terms of across the whole block. I only did like 4 last time, and that was again one of the takeaways from that Valencia series was that I think illness, travel, all that sort of stuff meant that I didn't get as many as I wanted. Whereas this time, the last 4 weeks before the taper, I did 4 big sessions, and I'd already done like 4 or 5 before going away as well. I think I've transitioned to doing more at marathon pace versus like longer and slower. I used to do quite a few 40Ks at a good pace, but like 10 seconds, 15 seconds a K slower than marathon pace. And I did a couple of them early on, but I've done more work where I've been intermittent.
By marathon pace, are you getting that from the heart rate you're running at? You haven't just thought, oh, I'm going to run this pace and I'm going to run this I'm going to run this time and I'm going to run this pace. You've done it off.
Yeah, like more heart rate, but also like you've got enough for me. Like I know it's going to be within a few seconds per K of what marathon pace is. It's not going to vary that much. But yeah, I guess more looking. I'm normally anchoring it to heart rate when I'm executing the session. So yeah, and again, the zone stuff hides the fact that I had 4 of the biggest weeks of my life in the block as well. So actually there was probably a more even spread in 2024, whereas in 2025, I think there was more concentrated to the back end of the block. And I think if I'd looked at the final 6 weeks instead of the final 12 weeks, it would have been a different story in terms of the distribution of the training. But I would have done a lot more training and a lot more zone 3 training. Well, I would have just done more of everything, I think, minus zone 4 and zone 5.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is like, what do we actually think is meaningful? We chose 12 weeks because that was like when we started the Road 2 series, but we've discussed before, Owain, about actually it's probably like the last year, the last 2 years, the last 5 years. There's only so much fitter you can get in 12 weeks, isn't there? So
you can't start from 0 and expect to run a good marathon in 12 weeks. That's like a bit dumb.
No. So yeah, I think overall I was really happy with the block. I think that down week where I was ill was actually a blessing in disguise, and that was something I would probably build in next time. I had already decided.
You did say you were going to.
Yeah, I did say I was going to, but would I've actually have done it? Because I'm like you, Owain, I like just getting to a consistent place and holding it there. I think everyone is like that. You don't want to, things can go wrong, so you don't just like taking the proactive step to decrease training on your own without feeling like you need to is a bit of a brave move, I think. But I responded so well after the break to the training. I felt like I really bounced on in my fitness levels after the break versus before the break. And that was with it being ill. And like an illness does take something out of your body as well. It's not like it's a stress-free period. Your body's working quite hard to get rid of a virus. So yeah, I think that I would continue trying to implement a down week in there. I wonder if, again, I would potentially start the taper earlier in terms of not maybe the big sessions. I would keep them in, but I would just start reducing the volume a little bit earlier. But I think going this time round, I felt like I was playing catch up because I'd missed some time. But I think even then, the braver thing would be to reduce volume 3 weeks out and not really say it's a taper, but just take an hour of easy running out of the schedule.
So it's not like a dramatic decrease. It's just like a real slow.
Yeah, because I think that volume, I think we all agree volume is super important. But when you're 3 weeks out from a marathon, is it that important? The big sessions are the more important things. Like an hour of easy running in isolation is going to do nothing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But
I didn't think you were going to say that.
Yeah, I don't know. By chance, I did a slightly longer taper last time into Valencia because we drove up to Scotland for a wedding, and it was just hard to fit in training around an 8-hour drive, 10-hour drive over 2 days. So yeah, there and back. So it's maybe, but I didn't feel fatigued on the start line. I felt normal. The paces were just slow for the heart rates and the effort. So I don't know. I still think it's one of those where it doesn't matter too much. Maybe just subtle differences here and there, because I've recovered really well, minus being ill. I guess
Back
that
at
takes
it
me on
today.
to, yeah, I guess it brings me on to what's next, which is
What's next? Yeah.
I'm hoping to get into Seville. I still haven't got an entry yet. But the guy who
anyone knows anyone.
organises, what's that?
If anyone knows anyone.
If anyone knows anyone, no, I know the sub-elite guy, well, the guy who manages the elite entries, and apparently he also helps manage Valencia and Malaga, which has all been happening. So I think he's super busy at the minute. It's probably also inundated with people like me who maybe didn't get the day they wanted in Valencia and are trying to get into Seville. So I'm hoping to get an entry there. And normally I wouldn't recommend people do that back to back, because how much fitness can you gain in 10 weeks, which is the gap between Valencia and Seville. But for me, I feel like I just need to be in the same fitness. I don't need to gain anything and just hopefully not be ill. And I'm pretty confident I would have a better day. If I have the same day, then I'm obviously just not in the shape I thought I was. But that is the hope that I can get into Seville, in which case I will not race in that period, most likely just get back into training, which is I've already started. Did my first session back today and felt all right. I guess,
If you do
continuing from
Seville, would you then take like a bigger break after that to recover
Yeah.
from both marathons?
I probably would. Yeah, I would certainly not rush back into things.
Yeah.
So this is me scheming now. So if I do get into Seville, I obviously wouldn't do London Marathon.
Yeah.
And it's the same day as Barcelona half, which would be in my race I would do up to London, if I was doing that instead. So I wouldn't be doing that, obviously. So I would probably do Seville, have a bit of time off, go and do Newport Marathon for the prize money, and maybe even go and do like Edinburgh or something for a bit of fun, because then like for someone who doesn't really do the track, there's not a lot in the summer to keep me interested.
Is Night of the 10,000s back? Wasn't it a year off?
It's in May.
Yeah. So if I did Seville, that is one I could opt. I think I'd get a lot out of the super shoes, and the spikes aren't the same. I've never had a good 10K on the track, and I love Highgate. I would go and do it probably, but
We'd come down.
Yeah.
yeah,
Day trip.
road to Highgate.
Lane free beer and cheer. I'm there.
George Jen will be racing it as well. So
Nah, I've retired my spikes.
yeah. Wow. Okay. Maybe Highgate, but that's May as well, though, isn't it? That's early normally.
It's like,
So
I think it's like.
what are you supposed to? So basically, I don't mind if I'm in a hole like June, July, August, because I'm not that interested in going running track. There's some 5K races,
What
but
about the Safa 5K? You surely got to go back there.
I'll go do a Safa, yeah, but it's not like, it doesn't get me up and about like Valencia or Seville. So that is the hope for like next 6 months, I guess. If I don't get into Seville, I will do Barcelona half and then London Marathon, which is not a bad backup, but I feel like London is it's not as fast a course. It's nearly in May, like how late it is in the year. So it's just going to be, it could easily be 20 degrees, like hot like it was this year. And I don't know, I feel like I'm fit now. My experience from Valencia the last 2 years is that 8 weeks after Valencia, I can be really, really fit. I ran Barcelona half last year, ran a big PB, and I've recovered well. I've not got any niggles. I feel like I'm good to go. Still just about getting rid of a cold, but session this morning was all right. I've done some jogging, did 6 by a mile this morning and took it pretty conservative to start with, like 5:13 for the first one, but just got quicker every one. Had a beautiful like stepwise progression in the paces. Every one like 2 or 3 seconds a mile faster. Finished with a 4:55 and it was all right. Did a few 400s this evening in 71, 72 off 30.
Man is back. He is back.
Yeah, and I just feel like Friday will go a bit better, Tuesday will go a bit better, and then I'm back basically. So yeah, hopefully get entry into Seville. But I think in terms of things I've changed, I'm definitely on my hot baths. I think after speaking to nearly Dr. Elliot Jenkins, I would not. You can't be too far off getting his PhD, can you? Even listening to that, like when we were recording, like 4 weeks out from Valencia, I was thinking, oh, is it worth it getting in the baths now? The gym as well. If I'm doing Seville, I can't add in a gym. I just don't think it's just not, like you said, Jen, you can't add in a gym work into a marathon block. But it's something I want to get back on top of, because I was doing a good job of it for the first 6 months of the year. But I'm generally really happy with what I was doing. I don't think there's anything massively different I would change. I think the only mistake I made in my training block was trying to jump back in with you guys when I was still ill and just rushing things and trying to play catch up. But I did learn my lesson. So yeah. What about you? Any input from you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we said it at the time, didn't we? That session where you came with us. It
Oh,
was when
I
we got back
shouldn't
to the
say
car,
that.
and then I was like, "Oh, did you not have any gels?" And you said you just left them in the car.
That's just a red flag, that.
Yeah.
I
The
mean, I don't
red
think-
flag was the day before when I just did a normal session, and I had to lie down for 4 hours afterwards, and I wasn't pushing the intensities that hard. It was quite a big session, first one back, but that should be my red flag to say, damn, don't go and run with you guys the next day.
I think your training is like pretty much on point. I think sometimes it's the decisions you make around it
Yeah.
that have I don't think like you do anything wrong necessarily with like your training. It's like really, really good.
I think it's knowing when to do less, isn't it? And that's what is always hard when you're coaching yourself, is having someone to go, you know what, Dad, it's not worth it today. Just take a day.
It's so
push
hard
your
when
session
you're, like,
back. Yeah.
driven and like you want to achieve stuff and whatever.
And I am better at that than I used to be. But I think, Jemima does play that role a little bit. She knows if I'm getting grumpy, miserable, I've spent the whole evening just scrolling on my phone and not talking to her. It's probably a sign that I'm doing a bit too much.
Making it go easy tomorrow.
that's my takeaways. I think generally happy, a few small bits here and there, but I think I pretty much got it right. Some of the sessions I was doing were just so much better than anything I'd ever done before. And I think a combination of different lifestyle, few nutritional supplement factors, and just a little bit more marathon specific stuff was a good mix. And probably a bit more intensity in terms of running at faster paces on those double threshold days.
Yeah, good recap.
Yeah. It's ending up being a long episode, this, isn't it? Yeah.
That's all right.
Don't worry, I've got nothing to compare my block to.
Yeah. Well, I thought you might be a little bit shorter. So.
But I'll do a review, a recap. I've separated my taper from my training block because to me the taper doesn't count as like my training. That's just like the preparation for the race. And then I split my training block into 2 sections as well. So it was from the September the 8th, it was 11 weeks to the 2-week taper. But then there was also like a 7-week specific marathon block within that as well. So the 11 weeks minus the taper averaged out at 94.5 miles and 12 hours and 11 minutes a week. The 7-week specific block.
Gosh, you had me on hours. I only had you. I had you slightly on mileage, but on hours, she was ahead of me. And this is her first marathon build. Bloody hell.
And the 7-week like marathon specific block, which was basically the post-wedding training, that was 106.2 miles a week and 12 hours and 37. So I feel like in terms of like putting in the work, I think I did quite well. I would say like that's coming from like averaging like 4,200 miles a year for like the last 6 years. So it's not like I've suddenly just pumped up my mileage like massively. I think the 7-week like specific block was like a really dense period of time where I did have a higher mileage than I have ever done. But actually, like 90 miles a week has been pretty normal for me for quite a long time. It's just like the change in like the sort of the sessions the closer we got to the marathon. So I my heart rate zones are similar to, like, not similar to Dan's, but in terms of like a 5 zone model. 155 is like my easy run, so anything under that, and then like zone 2 is kind of like 156 to 169, and then my zone 3, that's like my LT1 to my LT2, is 170 to 185, and then like zone 4 and 5 is like 186 up to like my max heart rate, which I don't actually know what it is, but I'm guessing it's somewhere around 204, because I've got it up to like 201 in a 5k. So I'm assuming it's somewhere just over the 200 mark.
Got a little hamster heart, hasn't she?
I was going to say hamster heart. That's not the most hamster heart we know of, but it's close.
It's pretty close. So in the overall like 11-week block, I did 9 hours and 43 minutes at in zone 1, so under 155, which is basically all my easy running, which was 79.9% of my volume. And then there was 22 minutes in zone 2, so that was like 156 to 170, which was just 3%. And then I did, this is per week, not total volume. And then 2 hours and 1 minute a week in zone 3, which is like LT1 to LT2, so 170 to 185, which is 16.5%. And then 4.5 minutes a week above that, which is 0.6%. In the actual percentages really didn't change when it moved to like the marathon specific work either. It was just like basically the time spent easy running increased. Literally that was literally it. That increased by like 40 minutes. And my zone 3 increased by 6 minutes. So the actual percentages pretty much stayed the same.
Just more running.
Yeah.
And so between the three of us, like, so I did 0.8% above LT2. So none of us went above 1% of our running above
LT2.
So
I had 1.3%, 1.3% split across zone 4 and 5.
So that's still tiny, isn't it? And like that's, for you two, that's, and like I guess I'm just about there, like that's half marathon pace. So yeah, like, to put it, maybe to contextualize it a bit more, that's so tiny amount of running above,
half marathon intensity pace. I would say.
Because
I did do some faster running in there, but so short. Yeah,
but heart rate never gets up in a stride.
No. And that's the strength and weaknesses of using heart rate, isn't it? It's good because it's representing the internal load, whereas like because you look at pace, but 3 minutes a K for me is different for Jen and it's different for Owain, whereas actually looking at heart rate is a way of, when you've got it calibrated against a lactate curve, is a good way of standardizing it.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, obviously I've had my heart rate zones tested by you, so I do know where they are. They are legit. I haven't just like whipped them out of thin air,
ChatGPT them.
Yeah. So like my block started with like pretty much like basic, like what I'd been doing pretty much leading into like this year. Like we started the year thinking, we're probably going to run a marathon at the end of the year, and kind of coming from like a 5k 10k background where perhaps not a lot, but like a higher percentage of my training was above that sort of LT2 area. Like I think kind of the underlying theme of this year was just to increase that time spent in my threshold zone and try and improve that, because the lab tests I had like showed that was like a really a really big weakness of mine was where my thresholds were and how weak they were compared to like what my VO2 max was.
An area for improvement, I probably said something along those lines. I probably didn't say, your thresholds are shit.
That's how I took it away. I was like, all right, got to work on that.
Diplomatic.
Yeah. So that was like the underlying theme, really, was to try and improve that or get that as strong as it could before we then went into like the more specific marathon stuff. So the first like 4 weeks of the block was like 2 double threshold sessions a week, basically all kind of producing sort of 3 millimole of lactate, and then a long run that included some form of like intensity in it. That kind of went from like 20 minutes to 30 minutes to 3 by 15 minutes to 6 by 10 minutes. Sort of trying to keep the heart rate at LT1, but I really did struggle with this initially. Like it would just rise, and I had like there's no stability in it at all. So I think like that obviously showed that I had like limited durability at the start of this block. But that's kind of how it started. Then we got married, so we had a down week. Not a lot of running occurred, but it probably came at the right place. Only ran 70 miles that week, and then came back and started like the more marathon specific sort of work, which started. So my first like marathon specific session was 8 by 2K. That was like a 102-mile week, and kind of just like built from there. I think one thing that I enjoyed doing in the block was like once every second or third week, my sessions on a Wednesday, although they were long in duration, they included some stuff that ended up being faster. That was where like my majority of above 185 heart rate came from. It would be like 5 by 2 minutes at the end or something, where like by the last couple of reps I was kind of edging my way like above that and above sort of like 520 miling. I'd be getting into like the 510s, 515s. And I think coming from like a kind of more fast twitch fiber kind of background, like keeping in some of that kind of faster running, just gave me a bit of confidence, but also I think just helped me with like my turnover, and like firing up that system and still staying in touch with it. So I was generally quite like pleased that they were included. And just gradually built up the sessions: 8 by 2K, 10 by K on, K off, 5 by 4K, 4 by 5K. So it was quite like obvious progression in what we were trying to achieve. And I mean, like, because we've never done this before, I don't think we really knew exactly how it was going to go. Dan warned us that there'd be one session I had to walk away from, so I made sure that didn't happen. I was quite pleased that I managed to like execute all of my sessions pretty well. Like I didn't have a session where I didn't manage to complete what was written on paper and feel like half decent doing it. I think, like Owain said earlier, I struggled with one long run, and that was at the back end of like 3 weeks of like 110 miles, and it was like the day before my down week. So I think that, coupled with like probably going 90 minutes at what was meant to be sort of LT1 for like duration, like LT1 for like 90 minutes on my own in the rain, probably like as fatigued as I was going to be in this block, made for like a really rough run. But I actually think that really helped me when it came to the race, because I'd already been in that position where like I was struggling and it was feeling really hard, but I was still managing to kind of hold myself together, and keep the intensity controlled. So actually when I got to 30K in the marathon, I was like, okay, I've actually felt this before. I know what it feels like, and I know I'm going to be okay. Just got to manage myself as well as I can. So even though it was horrible in the moment, I think it actually helped me on the race day.
How that was going to be one of my questions for you, Jen, was did you feel like you had replicated the marathon in training? Once you got to that 30K point of a marathon, or you're 35K in, you've got 5K to go, 6K to go, 7K to go, whatever it is. Had you felt that in training, or was that completely new?
That's one of my reflections from the training block, was that I think, and it was something I was really pushing for in the block, but Dave, I think, was being cautious, and rightly so. Like, I wanted to go further in runs, like even if that was to 2.5 hours, to 23, 24 miles, maybe once or twice. I never did that. I think the furthest I got was 21.8. So that did scare me, like going into the marathon. Like I was like, I don't know what happens after this. I never run further than this in my life. And the same with like the intensity in like some of my float and on and float sessions. Like I only ever did 20k of like marathon effort in a session, and I'd have liked to push that out to sort of 25k. But again, I think Dave was being quite cautious, especially on the first attempt. But I think like those two things, if I'd have done those two things, I'd perhaps would have had a little bit more confidence, or known like slightly more how I should be feeling at what stage in the race. Because I felt like I was chilling at halfway, and I obviously wasn't. So I think, yeah, those are like my two key takeaways. Was like, I'd like to push out the long run slightly and increase the session length, maybe just once or twice in the next block, just to kind of experience that feeling of like that later end feeling in the race. And also like, even if the long run looked like easy for like half of it, and then like I'm running closer to marathon pace on tired legs at the end to sort of replicate that. But we'll see. I think I've managed to like talk Dave into it. He likes to be a bit cautious.
No, I think it's a sensible approach, though. I mean, because I think I agree that you probably in your next block could push out your marathon specific sessions a little bit, to 5x5k instead of 4x5k, for example. But there is the danger that you end up just basically just running a marathon in training, and that just takes so much out of you. I don't think I ever in the training block felt like I did in the final 10k of a marathon.
Yeah,
in terms
and I don't
of
think
how hard it was.
Yeah, I don't think
maybe
you
just
can...
the flavor of it and the last couple of k of a 4x4 mile or whatever. But I don't think you should necessarily go to that dark place.
Yeah, and I think
unless you're racing.
I think I'm very much the sort of person who could do that in training if they wanted to. And I think I need caps on things and limits on things as to what I'm doing. Otherwise, I probably will take myself to those sort of places. And especially when it comes to like this sort of stuff, it was basically just trying to get my thresholds as strong as possible, and then hope for the best. Really, with the more like once you've layered on like that more marathon specific stuff. One thing like I noticed throughout the training block was like my heart rate like did stabilize like quite well by the end when I was doing like my last sort of sessions of long runs. Like there was not a lot of drift, so that gave me a bit of confidence that I was probably like durable enough to like withstand what I was about to go and tackle. But yeah, I think like for me it's just building on this training block for the next one. And yeah, those are probably like the extension of things is probably the only thing I'd probably change for the next training block. We had a down week, kind of halfway through as well, where I went from running like 110 miles to like 90 as well. So I think that was good. Like it gave me the, like you said, Dan, it gave me the opportunity to just take a step back and absorb what I'd done before I was forced to do it. So I think that was also like well implemented, and I felt like I needed it by the time I got there as well, after coming off the back of that horrible long run the day before. So I think those are like the key things. I'd like to push my mileage up a little bit if I could, even if that's like averaging like a couple more miles a week over the block. But yeah, I think those are the sort of the key takeaways really.
What because it's quite, I know you've sort of had this evolution in training over the last year, and probably like more longer than that as well, like 4 or 5 years, things have shifted in a more controlled direction. Mm-hmm. But what do you think it would have done? Say you arrived at Valencia and they said, actually, it's gonna be a half marathon today. Yeah. What do you reckon you would have run? Do you reckon or a 10K? Do you reckon you would go and PB?
I think I would have done. I think maybe even the 5K. I don't know. I ran 15:29 in the summer off just pure double threshold for like 8 weeks leading into it. We did nothing specific for that 5K. I think the fastest I ran was like 5:15 per mile on like minute reps with jog recoveries at the end of like a session. So I do think like strength is speed, especially for me. Like I have the ability to run really quick if I want to. Like I can go run a 29-second 200 meters, but I haven't, like, the extension of that and the extension of the paces has always been what's been my weak point, and that's come from like my limited threshold. So I think like if you'd put me on the line for a 10k or a half marathon, I'd like to have thought I'd have been in like sub 71 half marathon shape, I think, which would be like a 30-second PB.
Yeah. I mean, like going back to like that extension, I've paced you through sessions. Like, did we do 5 by a K once? Was it 5 by a K we did?
8 by a K. It was before Commonwealth
8
Games.
by, yeah, 8 by a K. We were running them in all like sub 3s,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Started out
But
at 3, and then like
and
all
then-
of them were sub 3s.
Yeah.
But then it's the ability to put them back to back.
Back to back. That was always been my nemesis. But then I don't think I ever, like, that's another thing actually from this training block is like, especially with the Sunday long sessions, is to actually chill out a little bit on like some of the intensities Dave gave me. I'm like a bit of an overachiever, so he'll put a range and I'll have just topped the range. I'd gone a second too quick. Whereas actually I think if I just kind of chill out a bit and actually run what true 90% of marathon paces and what the true 95% of marathon paces, I'd have probably have got just as much benefit for a lower cost, and probably have developed that kind of underneath part a little bit better. That would have probably helped me in the last half of the race as well.
But now you've got some great data because you know what your average heart rate is for a marathon. So you can go, this is marathon intensity, can't you?
Yeah.
What did you average?
Absolutely.
Do you remember?
I averaged 179 for the marathon.
179. That's so high, isn't it?
And a lot of my marathon pace, or my marathon pace stuff was probably 179 and 180. So I don't think we were far off. I just think if I'd have run 75 minutes for the first half of the race, I probably would have just been able to survive the last part of the race a little bit better.
And I think also with the average gets yanked up by it being higher normally in the last 10k, whereas
mine was pulled down.
Yours was pulled down a bit. So
Yeah.
actually, you might be able to average a bit higher
Yeah.
if you're a bit more conservative in the first half. So maybe it's actually right. We're 176 for most of it, and then it drifts upwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I average 165, and I always average 165, 166. So that's one more data point I've got for me. But yeah,
That's so low.
But actually, for the first 25k, I know that I should be below 165.
Yeah.
More like 162, 163. And that's normally where I'm anchoring with training sessions when I'm going, right, this is marathon specific. It's probably actually a little bit less than I average, because at the end of a marathon, even
You're
in Valencia, where I was a bit cooked, I still managed to get up to 180.
Yeah.
Which I know that's what you average, but for me, 180 is like, well, I spent 0.3% of my block with a heart rate at 180. So
That's nuts. Yeah. That's definitely, and I think that the same goes for like my marathon pace sessions. It's like chill out a bit on those as well. Like I definitely can take away from this that I probably can run faster, and develop strength in all the right areas if I chill out a little bit, rather than try and like be a little bit too quick on everything. And I think now I've got a marathon experience, I'm a bit more confident to do that in training.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's all about. Whereas beforehand, like it's like running at 3:31, 3:30 a K felt so slow compared to everything else I was previously used to doing. So yeah, I think those are like my key takeaways.
What's next?
I think I'm gonna do a marathon in April, to be confirmed, but potentially Rotterdam, and give it another swing.
That's changed from what I last heard.
Yeah.
That's not what I was expecting.
Well, Rotterdam's quite close to Amsterdam, and I really like it there. So the depth there looked stronger than some of the other options we looked at. in terms of like running around that 2.5 hour point. I couldn't think of anything worse than standing on, like, if I had the opportunity to stand on the start line at London as an elite woman. I think that would be
don't know why
horrendous.
anyone does it. I'll be honest. If you're not running 2:25 or faster, I don't know why you would go to London as an elite woman.
I couldn't think of anything worse, so that's like not an option for me.
26 miles by yourself doesn't sound fun.
No, thank you. So in my head, that's still quite a quick turnaround. I know you're looking at doing Seville, but like me, like April, the second weekend of April still seems quite close. But I think for us, it's just kind of learning what we have from this, doing another one, getting more experience under our belt, and then really targeting like an autumn marathon. Hopefully with the hope there of like really making like big progress, I guess.
And I guess my question would be, I asked that thinking there was going to be a different marathon as the spring was. But, if you think the limiting factor is your thresholds, would you maybe think about just focusing on like a half up to the spring and then like an autumn marathon rather than straight back into a marathon?
So that was the original plan before I ran the marathon. I was going to go and run Berlin half. But I really feel like to get good at the marathon, it's not just developing my thresholds, it's actually learning and understanding the race. And I think the only way I can do that is actually by putting myself in them. And I think like at this point, like I feel like that might be more beneficial. I can still like build and develop my threshold at the same time as like training for the marathon, but actually like putting myself in that environment and actually learning and understanding the race might help me more. With then the thought of like, even if I don't do that many races in the summer, then really going back and working on building that threshold for the autumn.
I also think marathon training is just great for that sort of development anyway. I've every time I've stood on the start line of a marathon where I think I can PB, I would say I'd PB of a 10K half marathon. It doesn't matter. If you're fit, you're fit. And there's thresholds for me as well when I've got no top end. My top end just doesn't vary because it's always just non-existent. So I don't need to work on that. It's just how close to that can I sit? And that's basically your threshold. So yeah. And especially because April is still a long way off. So you're not going to go right January the 1st marathon specific sessions, are you? So
no. It'll be quite short. Like the actual marathon specific stuff, I think will be like 7 weeks, including a down week before the taper, and then the rest is just like back to the like building the threshold and kind of blending that before the marathon block.
And it's those zone 3 sessions, those big marathon specific sessions, where I accumulate so much time in zone 3.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like K on, K off, or 2K on, 1K off, because even on the offs, my heart rate is only dropping to LT1 really. So it's still in that zone. I can end up with 90 minutes in a single session just of threshold, which is what I might average in a week if I'm doing double threshold twice a week.
Definitely. And I'm well excited about it. I've so enjoyed the whole kind of process in the race. Like, that I just want to do another one. That
was just a podcast every week, Jen. That wasn't super training. Maybe a training company on the Sundays, but
that was all right.
I didn't do much of that, so I'm looking at Owain here.
Yeah, there'll be some more of those Sundays.
Yeah,
I said definitely. There needs to be.
Yeah, no, for sure. It makes it so much better. Like the Wednesday sessions on my own were like tough mentally because like you're just out there by yourself. It just gets a bit lonely. So it's nice to like mix up the two big days with like company and then kind of survival.
Nice.
Survival.
Nice. So, I mean, more immediate term, Jen, when's the first session back going to be? I'm not doing anything till the 1st of January. It's 31st of January. So
I have managed to wangle my first session to it'd be the 24th, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, okay.
Yeah. So I wanted I wanted it earlier than that, but I'm not allowed. So
Banned. Well, the thing is, if
next
you're aiming for an
Wednesday.
April, what is the rush? Just to get recover.
Exactly. And like next week's like busy and stressful with Christmas and stuff and a lot of travel. So just trying to like fit it in around that as well.
Yeah, it's a good time to not be
yeah.
obsessed with training, isn't it? I mean, we all know how much you love Christmas, Jen. So you could just go.
That's why I like training so much at Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about Christmas then.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's with training volume, the amount of marathons that I've done now, but I can just bounce back from marathons really well in general. I think if I had a massive blow up, I would suffer more, obviously. But if I hadn't been ill, I'd have run all week last week. I ran with Jemima on the Monday and felt like super, super good. And then, relative to I have just run a marathon the day before.
Yeah.
But you do find, I think, though, that first session back, it's just a faster speed. So fast twitch fibers take a bit longer to recover than most slow twitch ones. And you can be fine jogging and you go and do some intensity and you go, actually, heart rate's a bit high. My legs are feeling it. For me, this morning, I was great until like 5:05 a mile and then 5-minute miling. I think the next one was 4:59. That felt hard. And then 4:55 felt really hard, more muscularly rather than cardiovascularly. So it is you definitely need to appreciate that you have run a marathon, but as you get more conditioned and fitter and run some, you do get more conditioned.
And this is the first one I've done, so like it's the massive new stimulus for my body. It's never experienced it before. So I guess I have to respect that. And I think like one of the things I'm really bad at is jumping back into training, like pretty much after every race as quickly as possible. And like most of the time it's fine, but there are times where it bites me in the bum like 3 weeks later. And I don't really want that to happen.
No. You just want nice, smooth sailing, and you increase your chances of that if you give yourself a bit more time.
Yeah, definitely. As much as I hate it.
So Owain, you ended up running the whole thing with yourself, did you, on your race? So your first run back was a race?
No, I'd run on the Saturday.
Oh, you had run on the Saturday.
It wasn't my first one back. I would have been even worse if it was my first one back.
I've avoided running anywhere uphill until today, and that was only up Cathays. Like, apart from that, it's been on the flat.
Yeah. In hindsight, probably not the best idea.
Yeah, maybe not. Another learning. Yeah. Right. Well, I've had a great 13 weeks of chatting to you every week on the pod.
It's been so good.
It's been fun. I think as I said last time, listening's been really good. So thanks everyone who listened along.
Thanks for anyone who's like messaged us or spoken to us as well. Like that's been so nice to actually like communicate with people who are genuine listeners. Like meet them in virtual or real life.
I know. I always feel so abstract. I think I've said this before. Us like tuning in on Riverside on a Tuesday night, and then you realise that actually it's not just a little bubble. The amount of people in Valencia who actually spoke to said, "Oh yeah, we listen." It's makes it a bit more real. It adds a bit more purpose to it as well.
Have to make sure we're careful about what we're saying if people are actually tuning in.
I know. I thought I was just trying to you two, to be honest.
I haven't learned that yet, Jen.
Yeah. Jen will get us cancelled. Anything else to say?
I think that's it. I think
so.
I think we'll be back sooner than people think.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. But do you want to? We're gonna do a Q&A episode. Should we say about that?
Yeah, I guess we'll post on socials, right? And solicit some questions. There's a link in the Spotify as well if you have questions.
All right, go check that out. We'll link it in the show notes as well. But we'll do a Q&A episode to wrap up the year. And we've got a few more episodes planned before 2026 as well. So stay tuned.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Catch you soon.